3. The agenda additions and approvals. We have our agenda or agenda additions and then our in-camera package. Is there anything else? Councilor Nyberg?
I'll give you a motion to adopt the agenda as presented with the additions that have been handed out to everyone.
Any questions? Call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Number 3, acknowledgement. I don't know if I should be reading this myself, Andrew, or I didn't put it there. But
I'll go ahead if that's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just so everybody knows, Larry Clark was elected to the District 2 Director for the rural municipalities of Alberta. We nominated him, or we did not nominate him. We gave him an endorsement at the meeting previous to this, and congratulations, Larry. You did a good job, and it's one of those things when we get on a provincial board. No matter what that provincial board is, it highlights what we're doing and it helps what we're doing at the County of Stettler. So I'm not sure the public always understands that, but sometimes they don't understand all the work we do either in the background. So good on you, Larry, and congratulations.
well, yeah, thank you. And it's also like being on a council, is that you're elected in a ward, but truly you represent all of the municipality that you're in. So like with us, we all represent County of Stettler. So they're trying to feed us with a fire hose right now, and it's we haven't got knocked down yet. So some very interesting stuff. But being on this board, you're also on the board for Genesis Insurance, and then on the board for canoe procurement. So there's a lot of training to do from insurance and for fiduciary duties that has to be taken. So that'll be this month coming up and early into January. There'll be a few days on that. So
Maybe a couple of fire hoses.
it's maybe trying to drown us from both directions, but it's good.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. No public hearing today. We have 2 delegations today. Municipal Affairs will be here at 11 a.m. Giving us an update on the Village of Denelda viability. And then at 1 o'clock, we have our photo contest presentation. We'll have the nominees, I guess it would be, for the winners of the selected winners. And we'll be going through that at 1 o'clock. So under new business, I know Councillor Stevens not at the table, but 7.1, I don't know if we should request for...
We can go with that one, Mr. Chair. That's absolutely a good one to go with.
7.1, request for decision, additional funding for Buffalo Lake Meadows park improvements, page 3 of the package.
Well, I got holiday office closure 7.1. And then 7.3 is additional funding for Buffalo Lake Park improvements. So.
Yeah. Well, we go to your one guy. Just on this here.
Printout says 7.1 for Buffalo Lake.
Yeah. Just getting even with you for. I wasn't going to say anything.
So let's go to 7.3, Mr. Chair. I agree with you on that one. Apparently, I'm looking at a different piece of paper.
Okay, 7.3 was request for decision, county holiday office closure, page 13 of the package. Who's presenting that, Andrew?
I suppose I will. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a request we typically bring to council every year around this time. To get council's blessing on it. The office has, for quite a few years now, as a benefit to staff and to get staff out of the office, we've closed for an extra 3 days. So the 25th, 26th, and the 1st are all stat holidays. So administration is proposing that, as in past years, we would close at noon on the 24th and then reopen on January 2nd, which would be, I believe, a Friday.
Mr. Chair, should we change our meeting date before we...
Well, in fairness,
Be true. Closed, and we're pretty much guaranteed we're going to make a decision.
the closing at noon on Christmas Eve is in policy. So we typically do that anyways. But if you wanted to have a half-day meeting, I'm there with you. I'll be there.
Okay, it's just that, yeah, one should have came before the other because I'm pretty sure.
This is something we've did for quite a few years, and it's even went into the point of talking about, the larger Christmas parties and stuff. The people really appreciate the closure for family time and if for families that don't live in the area. We still keep our core people are on call so that if we do have a major weather incident or emergency that we've got people available. Councilor Gano?
An understanding of who is on call. You say core people, I don't quite know that.
Yeah, so typically what we have decided in the past or how we've interpreted in the past is if you're within our emergency management structure at all, or you're necessary for snow clearing, and that covers most of our staff in general, then you need to be within a 2-hour callback area, basically a 2-hour call-in zone. If you can't make that, then you would have to take vacation time despite the office being closed. So that's typically how we've run that before. We've had some nasty storms while we were closed, and our graders are out just as quick typically as when we're running. And then the rest of the staff is typically there for supporting emergencies. We continue to have directly on call staff as well. So there's always one supervisor on call with Public Works, one utilities foreman on call, or one utilities operator on call, pardon me, and one protective services officer on call, or myself. I will sometimes take their call for them so that they can get away with their families.
Councilor Hunter?
I move that we close for those days for the staff.
And just one thing that Andrew didn't highlight, I do remember we took over in Shirley McClellan, we just put a new piece of pipe in the ground and we're operating it, and it failed Christmas Eve. And you had how many staff out there that day?
Probably most our department, probably 3 to 4.
There's 3 or 4 out there to get the water on, and we got the water on and flushed, and people had their water, and Special Areas was very glad that they turned that section of pipe over to us because.
Yeah, when we got back, the chairman of a Special Areas called up and said, "I'm sure glad it was your staff out there Christmas Eve. Thanks for handling that."
But they are around and they do respond if there was an issue. So, okay, we have a motion on the table. Any other questions? Call the question. All in favor? That's carried. So that would take us to saving paper, aren't we? 7.4 request for decision, December 24th, 2025 council meeting, page 14.
So this one is just recognizing your council meeting is on Christmas Eve, the day of Christmas Eve. As I mentioned, I'm happy to come in. I'll be there anyways. So if you guys would like to come in and have a half-day meeting, or I'll stick around for the full day if you want. Might just be me, but
Well, we could call Andrew's bluff here. You guys.
what's not a bluff? I'm here.
Does pull it every.
Forum, I'll be here.
Mr. Gano?
Just one item, when I look at the policy, incur financial costs of councillor per diems and a provided lunch, did we make a change regarding lunch?
We did, so for, as part of the organizational meeting, councilors recognize the value of the lunch by removing that from your monthly per diem. So it's basically a flat rate that's accounted for, but the expense is still variable. So you do technically, save that expense even though you guys aren't getting the revenue to offset it.
Councilor Gano moves it. Any other questions? Call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. It's good. Okay. It is council, correct? Yes, that's what I understood by the motion, but we'll just clarify it. 7.5 request for decision, Parkland Regional Library System Budget 2026.
Yeah, I can speak to this one. So Parkland Regional Library System provides all of the library areas that are, or libraries in the area that are members with a litany of services. They include in their budget presentation an annually return on investment report as to, for every dollar of value we put into the library system, how much value we get out that we would otherwise have to pay if we weren't members. And it's about like a 1 to 30 ratio. It's quite the investment. This year they've come forward with I believe it's an 8-cent increase to the per capita rate. That's slightly less than 2%. That's a pretty reasonable ask from them. We have had some bigger jumps in some of the prior years. Most recently, last year, you'd see looks like quite a large jump in the per capita requisition, but that was because Municipal Affairs and Alberta Treasury Board switched to was doing municipal population counts, and so the requisition change was just to represent that the actual increase in the budget line's not as bad. So if you're looking back in our history to see where Parkland's budget has been at, last year's an anomaly, and you need to look at the total for that rather than the per capita rate. But this year it amounts to roughly $1,100 more, or not even quite, just over $1,000 more to our budget. This is within the draft budget that administration is working on. Parkland does require that both 2/3 of their members, representing 2/3 of their population, vote in favor of the budget, or else they must send it back and bring it back.
Clarity, per capita is population?
Yes. Yeah. And we have gone back to Municipal Affairs always maintains sort of an annual projection in between Statistics Canada census years to try and account for the variable population. They did that with just statistical models. They didn't do any census. That switched over to Treasury Board. They didn't do the best job of it. So it's gone back to Municipal Affairs now. I believe our population count right now still matches our census count, which is 5666.
Is that we approve the PRLS budget as presented?
Councillor Nyberg?
Mr. Chair, thank you. Just one comment more than anything was that at both our RMA and the Alberta Munis, there's a resolution brought forward for increased funding to the library. So it's across the board. It's not just us. And both resolutions passed with a very large percentage. So I think it is, the majority of people are very much in favor of this. So it's a small amount of money that we spend, and I think we do get good value out of it. So.
Any other questions or concerns? Call the question, all in favor? And that's great. 7.6, request for decision. Actually, Councillor Stevens asked if he could be in the room for that one too. It's in his area. So if we can move to, okay. 7.7 on the additions is request for decision, rescue tools and apparatus.
I can take this one as well, Mr. Chairman. As you know, at your last meeting, Council tendered an offer to purchase Rescue 14 from the town pursuant to our Joint Fire Services Termination Agreement. They had the option to basically reverse the offer and buy it from us under the same terms, and they did take that option. So administration is now endeavoring to re-outfit and begin the process of replacing that unit. So administration is looking for a couple bits of direction at this point. We would like to begin developing the specifications for our replacement unit, and then either go straight to tender or go to a direct quoting process through Canute Procurement. They do have a competitively tendered list of fire apparatus sales that are trade policy compliant. So that does give us a little bit more flexibility to go back and forth and not quite exclude everybody with one omnibus text. And then additionally, we would seek some clarity. We didn't actually set in the agreement when assets would transfer, so we would just simply ask that we continue to have access to the existing Rescue 14 until such time as we're able to respond with a replacement unit. So for the interim period, what we would be looking to equip first is we have a 2001 Freightliner fire medic unit that we purchased a couple years ago in anticipation of needing a backup to our rescue unit. So that one has largely sat until now. Mechanically, it's tuned up. It needs a little bit of TLC for lights, and then it needs to be equipped. And fortunately, most of what we need to do to it will transfer straight across to a new unit. So it's mostly handheld tools. Basically, take the credit card to Princess Auto and go crazy is what we need to do next. So that's already underway from the staff process. Council gave authorization in July proactively. You set aside roughly $60,000 for rescue equipment, including the contingency, to begin to outfit things that we would lose through the transition with the town. And so administration, we're only highlighting that because you've already given the direction on that. And we won't have hardly any of that would be duplicative once we get into a new unit. In fact, even the lights might be something that we can transfer across if we're careful about how we buy. We do show some of our stats for Rescue 14 on the second page there, just to show the kind of use it gets. So this is the 2013 to 2025 usage that we've had of it. So it's 1,800 hours over about 750 calls. This is specifically within the Heartland Regional area. There you can see the total hours and total call count that included areas we won't respond to anymore. But that gives you a general idea. It's quite a heavily used unit, particularly for it is our MVC unit. It does generate revenue when it's going to MVCs at a rate of about $750 an hour. And if they're on a provincial highway, that gets billed directly to the province. On one of our roads, it goes to the insurer of the vehicle on the roads. And so that's largely where it spends its time, but then it also has some of the equipment that doesn't fit well on, say, an engine, which would be things like our water rescue, our rope rescue, some of our medical equipment when we're doing medical first response to support the ambulance association. And then as well, we have used it typically as a bit of a rolling toolbox. So it's got all the miscellaneous tools, it's got extra air bottles. The current one has a compressor, but we think that probably we don't need to put a full air breathing apparatus, or I suppose it doesn't have a compressor, it's just got a fill station and a cascade. We don't think we will propose that in the upcoming one, but you'll see that when we bring back the tender. We can just add more bottles. We don't need that fancy of a system. So we're expecting a $600,000 to $800,000 cost roughly on this tender. And with the funding we have moving forward, we've got just shy of $250,000 coming to purchase our share of Rescue 14 and the tools on it. We've got a roughly $150,000 in the Joint Rescue Reserve that will be coming as well. So that's already taking us halfway at most to the purchase price of the new unit. And we expect to get 25 to 30 years out of that new unit when we get there. Of course, council will have a second opportunity to actually say yes or no before we purchase it. We're just looking for the direction to develop the specification and get the firm numbers.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. Andrew, can you go back to the top a little bit? So this looks to me that there's a couple of requests for decision in here. I just want to first off by stating that as part of the Fire Transition Committee, we talked about this, how this was going to transition. Either or, it's a good news story, I think, because Rescue 14 may have been a little bit more than what we needed. This is going to be a unit and an opportunity for us to buy a unit that is fit for service, especially for what we as the county are expecting to use. it'll be a new unit, which is, I think, something that most of the guys like new and exciting stuff to work with. So I think that's one that to go forward is exciting news for our new department and the commission setting up. I would dare say we should take a credit card maybe to Canadian Tire, Home Hardware, and Napa versus Princess Auto. But that's just me. Of course, at home. And I just have a quick question. When I was talking about this, is that the publish a call for tenders or seek quotes? Which one is the direction that they would prefer?
We want you to give us we want you to pass both. That's part of your motion, that we can either publish a call for tender or seek quotes, because we may end up doing both. We might get some quotes competitively and say, we need to broaden this up to people who aren't in the canoe process as well. There are some options potentially internally. We have some newer equipment that may potentially be able to be repurposed instead. And we would just put a rescue chassis or a rescue box on an existing chassis. We haven't dug into that too far yet, but we basically want the flexibility to be able to come back and give you guys something thorough and put the resources, because it will take time to develop the spec, start equipping it, and get some firm numbers.
So that leads into my next consideration on the unit that we were talking to, the fire medic unit. Now that's basically ready to roll except for some lights. So we're going to do
some equipment. Yeah.
So we're going to have that ready up and running within the month, kind of thing. Is that the plan?
Yeah, we would expect that we would not need to continue to use Rescue 14 past December 31st.
Okay.
Which aligns well with the end of our transition agreement, the end of the formal agreement with the town. Most of the equipment, if you recall from the letter we sent to the town making the offer, we did itemize quite a bit of the equipment. It's normal equipment, right? It's drills, it's sawzalls, it's screwdrivers and wrenches, all of that kind of thing.
Maybe a tougher question. The new unit, what's the expected ETA?
It could take over a year.
Okay, so this fire medic would be in service for a year type thing?
Yeah, we'll get value out of anything we do to the fire medic, for sure. If we're going with a brand new device or a brand new apparatus. I'm not particularly sure with rescue units specifically. They're a little bit easier to come by, but certainly engines are they're a good 2 years out at this point. So we expect that the rescue unit, though we will go, and I'm sure council will be happy to hear, or at least the councilors that recall our deals with 15, we will not be going with a custom chassis. We will do a commercial chassis, and that does help with the timelines.
So one last comment or question. So there is also, you had mentioned some of the money that is in the sale of this unit. Do we understand or have an estimate of the money that's still set in the joint account for running it?
That's the $150,000.
Okay, that's what you're estimating that. Has that been totally set out?
Very nearly. Yeah, so we've got a firmer number than that, but I think it's within $1,000 of 150.
Maybe just explain to the other councillors how that worked.
Yeah, so ever since we've had a joint rescue with the town, and it actually precedes the unit we're discussing, we have shared the revenue on the calls that it does for MBCs, especially the highways. And we have put that into a joint rescue reserve that the town held. The intent of that was to be, the starting zone for replacement to that unit when we got to it. But the original agreement from when we purchased it in 2007 until we did the modernized fire agreement a couple years ago here, it allowed for expenses to come out of that account, operational expenses. We weren't generally a big fan of that. I don't think any of the administration who's here now, town or county, really liked that. So we said, okay, no, expenses will be billed, revenue will still go into it jointly. Actually, I suppose we no longer have the joint reserve. We just said revenue will get split. We still maintain a separate reserve for that. It's probably got 20 to 30,000 in it. From the couple of years that we've been maintaining our own reserve, so that would also be available to offset this future purchase.
Reed Clark, a few questions. The medic unit, is there a number on it?
So we've got unit numbers and we've got call sign numbers. When we're talking about fire trucks, we more typically talk about the call sign number, which is 14. The new one will replicate that. It will be the new Rescue 14. But the fire medic unit, I believe, is 238, but maybe don't quote me on that.
The next question I had was, with the calls, are you able to tell me what percentage of those calls were outside the town?
Yeah, on this sec sheet of this RFD, our percentage is exactly that. Those are all of the calls that were within our jurisdiction and what we'll continue to respond to with Heartland, including the summer villages and villages, and the straight hours and call count, those are both within those areas as well. So of the MVCs, for example, 77% of them occurred within what is now Heartland Regional's response area.
Thanks, Reed Clark. So, has the town got back to you on that? We can use it till end of December?
We're asking you guys to make the motion to formally make that ask.
And
so we haven't sent that letter yet until you give us that direction. If you were to come and say, no, just sell it, just ramp up the fire medic, then we wouldn't send it. That's up to council.
we didn't put that in the,
No, that wasn't in the original offer letter, because at that point, we were going the other way around. We were trying to buy the unit. However, we would have probably expected a similar request from the town as they look to equip one of their existing units with the tools they needed.
what happens if they say no?
We'll bring it back to council.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to that end, we already have an agreement on the number of things that it goes to December 31st. There's a few items that we're dealing with. Utilization to the fire hall, I think, goes to December 31st, so we still have access to the fire hall. Everything changes basically on January 1st, so I don't think this is a far stretch.
Oh, okay. And I do agree with Councilor Nyberg that Napa would probably be a better choice than Princess Auto.
I apologize to my local vendors. And we've even got a hardware store that is right in the county.
Yes.
Neglected to mention that.
Very adjacent to our fire.
Yeah, in fact, the shipping would be real though.
Very good point. That's a bit better, yes. So, Mr. Chair, if there's no other further questions,
Got a couple of comments on that too. Is we need to look at this as we're gonna have a lot more fit for purpose rescue truck. This truck will probably be a 4-wheel drive, will be, more to be able to be used off-road. Rescue 14, the way it currently sits, was not designed for that. So if we had a rollover where it would be better to get the truck to where the rollover was, this is a lot better option, or, entering some pretty tough terrain. With it too, they can design it so that the toolboxes work accordingly to what we have for equipment now. I know that can always change over 25 years, but currently it would match better. Plus we would have the truck does not, it would require CDIPs, but does not require any pump tests, etc. So this truck is going to last for quite some time. And any money we do put into the Rescue 14 that we're going to go forward, and the fire and rescue truck, we did talk at one point of possibly putting that at one of our outlying halls.
yes.
So based on that, I don't think we're throwing good money after bad. If the truck performs mechanically well, it is could very easily be a part of our fire fleet. And one thing when I saw it, I've been unfortunate enough, I guess, to attend a lot of accidents in the wintertime. And there's nothing worse than when there's a wrecked, flipped over vehicle and you got nowhere warm to put people, you're crowding them into personal vehicles, etc. This van on this truck, you could have, at the end there, you could have a coffee machine in there, you could have it that people could sit in the warmth, and the firefighters could go about their duties, and these people aren't gazing right at what's going on with their loved ones and everything else in vehicles. So it is, to me, that truck that we bought, when I saw it, I was very impressed with that part because it does allow for that. And if it did come down to the fact you had to cascade some air, you would have room on that truck and maybe have it as a secondary unit too. So it's not a, it is, I don't believe it's putting good money after bad at all, so. Counselor Allen?
I know we talked last meeting about this being a possibility. I do believe that, we need to get both, find out what the different quotes are. We definitely need to get one on board. And I said, we did say this was gonna be a possibility, we needed to move forward, and I feel too that our guys, for them to do the job properly, they need to have the right tools, and we need to do right by them.
So with that, Mr. Chair, I think we'll split this into two motions. So the motion will be that council directs administration to develop specifications for replacement of Rescue 14 and either publish a call for tenders or seek quotes from vendors with standing offer contracts which have been competitively bid through our buying groups. Wasn't that an offer? I had it been told. I can read too. Our truck driver.
Any other questions or comments? Call the question, all in favor? And that's carried.
And so on the second motion, Mr. Chair, that I'll make that council send a letter to the town requesting the sale of Rescue 14 be delayed until the Heartland Regional Fire has equipped their replacement unit or December 31st, 2025, whichever comes first. So, yeah, I would think that's pretty straightforward on that. With the knowledge that if they say no, which I highly don't think that'll happen, I think we're in a good position with both of them.
Questions on that motion? Call the question, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. 7.8, request for decision. Request for letter of support, page 4 of the package, of the additions package.
Mr. Chairman, I can speak to this one as well. So County of Painters is seeking funding for a truck fill similar to what we approved at our last meeting under the same program. Their proposed truck fill location would come off of our water line. So we think that this is a very symbiotic project proposal. And we would hope that that would help us collectively advocate to the province for yet more funding to get more of that line in the ground. While the administration has previously detailed how we could fund the construction of the line that would be necessary for Westwood and therefore this extension that Painters would need, we would very much like to see the mobilization for that project include the other pieces of the Gatsby Phase 2 project that isn't necessarily within the current scope of what council's approved in the past, though we do have a number of projects we can bring back to the new council, and it likely will come up during budget, sort of our long-term water planning, so you guys can see the direction that we sort of laid out for the next few years of water infrastructure extensions. So at this point, administration is recommending that our council does provide County of Painters with a letter of support, as they did for our Alberta Drought and Flood Protection Program application, and that's free for any questions.
Well, we also saw this last meeting, and it does, like you said, falls right in line with what we were talking about for Westwoods. So I would think that I would not be opposed to them having our support in this. Yeah, I make a motion that the council provide County of Painters with a letter of support with further application for a proposed truck fill under the Alberta Drought and Flood Protection Program.
That too was a very well written.
I know, I'm like a pro, and this is only my first term.
Any questions on that or comments? I'll call the question, all in favor?
And that is carried. 8.1 under old business, request for decision, correction to the minutes, page 6 of the package.
Chairman, I can take this one as well. So annually, and more often than that, but annually as part of our audit, we do review our minutes, and we found a couple of financial motions that were either clear or had a bit of a typo. The first one is quite clear. We do not purchase $625 million graders. I'd be very curious to see what that looked like. This did manage to make it through our review. If this was caught prior to the minutes being passed, we would just amend it and you guys would pass it as part of that. However, because these minutes have been passed already, we do bring it back to council to formally amend. And then the second one was a little bit more confusing. There was a proposal from administration to do a rebuild on a grader, basically. And it was broken up into two parts, with one of those parts having two options. So the two parts were the engine and then the everything else. And the engine had two options, either Finning could do it or the county mechanics could do it. Council at the time opted for Finning to do it and to do the whole rebuild. But the way those two options kind of got merged together in the minutes was a little on the confusing side. And so Finning actually flagged this one as we were going through the purchasing process. And the proposed motion is in the recommendations. It does split it up a little bit more and shows you the different quotes for the different portions. But this does meet the intent of what council had moved at that point.
Mr. Chair, to this one, I mean, we all make mistakes. This was, council approved the minutes for a $625 million grader. Good thing that Finning didn't see that. But yes, so I'll make the motion that that we amend the said motion in the record of the minutes by removing 625 million, replacing with 625,800.
Questions, concerns? Councilor Daniel?
also include that you're making two motions?
There'll be two motions in that, yeah. I think there'll be some discussion on the second one.
Call the question, all in favor? That would be carried. The second motion?
So, Mr. Chair, again to this one, I'm not necessarily sure, because we did go back and forth with council on this one. There was a lot of ins and outs when we were talking about what we were going to do. I think very clearly at the end of the day, it was planned by that council to have Finning do the entire build. I think that's the way we should stay with that as well. That council amends said motion in the record of minutes by removing the motion in its entirety and replacing it with the county approves the removal of the installation completed by Vinning, remanufactured engine, and the motor grader as described in Finning service agreement. Prices quoted, GST 3 years, 5 there, and the core credit applied, and a complete refurbish and rebuild of CAT C115 14M motor grader as described in the Finning service estimates. The total price being $571,077.38.
Yeah, and that conversation we had was very clear when we made that, because we were giving up a bunch of warranty and credit towards the rebuild if we did that ourselves in our shop. So the decision was made at that point to have Finning do it, and then could it fit into the refurbish program was the next question. And yes, it could. So that's how we voted to put that forward.
And then I think it also was a timing issue, how much time our staff had, and also the timing of the replacement grader that was hitting the ground almost at the same time.
And from a timing basis, so that was our July meeting, we made that motion, because that grader's been back for a few weeks now, so.
We just got
Very good.
It's when they went to,
So it doesn't really make any difference.
Very good turnaround on it though.
Absolutely.
Visual too, so.
and a much better experience than council saw the first time. That was a concern that council had brought up with Finning at that meeting, because we had had a previous rebuild, that the timeline was not what we had expected. And the firmness of the quote was a little bit softer than we had hoped. And this time we have had no such problems, and we're very happy with at least that side of the process.
I think Fanning is happy with it too from the conversations we've had, so yeah, it worked well. Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Any other comments on that? Call the question, all in favor? That is carried, so those minutes are corrected. Okay,
I think we
we need to either move back to what we're, yeah, I gave Counselor Stevens a half an hour and he kind of, so he better be happy with what we do go forward.
I think we can represent him enough here.
It may be fair as well to, oh, did we miss?
7172 and then one on the agenda.
And it may be fair just to note that Councillor Stevens is in the building. He is representing the Ambulance Association. He is one of the members on there. They're going through their accreditation process right now, which is effectively an operational policy governance audit. It's basically an audit of everything except the financials. It's necessary for us, or for the Ambulance Association, to maintain their contract with AHS, now Emergency Health Services. And so this is day 3 of the 3-day visit by the accreditors, and this is giving their senior leadership team a debrief on what they've seen, give them a chance to ask questions about what's going on, and then actually later this morning, starting very soon, so I'm thinking that Councillor Stevens will join us shortly, they will actually bring staff in for their opportunity to hear the results directly from the accreditors as well. It's quite a thorough process. Yvette and I met with the accreditors first thing on Monday morning, and we are pretty excited about how we were shaped up to be. So
He's not just goofing off.
Yeah, thanks for taking that away from us.
I completely throw him under the bus, or in this case, the ambulance.
I'll take any opportunity to brag about ambulance, because I love that thing.
Yes, yeah, you guys, we do a great job as a community, but our administration does an excellent job.
Well, that takes us to 7.1, request for decision, additional funding for Buffalo Lake Meadows Park improvements, page 3 of the package.
And this one I'll give to Craig to begin with, and there's some opportunity to pass it off once more, I think, but.
That's quite correct. Thank you, Mayor Clark, members of council. I'm going to invite Mr. Olson up to the mic. Bruce Olson is the, I think, president is the correct term, of the Buffalo Lake Owners Association, and they're the ones that are making the request and have been undertaking the project for them. And Rudy Clark, happy to be available to answer any questions that council may have from administration. I don't have a formal presentation afterwards.
Go ahead, Bruce. Yeah, actually, you probably could use introductions. We've got a new group sitting at the table, so we'll start with Karen.
Legislative assistant.
Larry Clark.
Alan Gano.
Reed Hunter.
Janet Adam.
Bill Walker.
Jay Schneider, Councilor for Erskine South Ward.
Craig Shield, Director of Planning and Development.
Bruce Schick, Director of Municipal Services.
Yeah.
Sharon Larson.
All right, hey, welcome to the new faces. I know lots of you already. I just thanks for the opportunity to ask for this ask. To clarify this a little bit, I wanted to give a little bit of background going all the way back. On September 11th, Council approved the $81,900 for our sport court pavilion project. We pushed quite hard to have that done on September 11th because we were applying for the Alberta Community Infrastructure Grant. That deadline was September 15th. So we were kind of under a whole bunch of pressure to get things organized and figure things out. As we were going through that grant application process, they kept asking for more info, and as we dug deeper into the guts of sport courts and what they're supposed to look like and how they should be built, we found out that there was some additional things that we didn't count on the initial presentation to council that came up. One of the biggest costs was the coating on top of the asphalt. It's quite an expensive undertaking, about 25,000, 28,000 for that. That extends the life of the court, makes it much safer because there's a grip to it, and there's a whole bunch of advantages. So the committee said, okay, we've got to do that. Same sort of line with the actual pavement that gets put down. The sort of the proper way to do it is to use a finer aggregate on the second lift. So that adds another cost. So Border Paving did that work for us, and that was added in after. So the original, we had originally thought it was around 200,000. By the time we had the grant application finished for the province, it was up in around that 255,000 by the time we were done. We were able to secure over $96,000 from that grant. So that, went a long way. Now to the guts of what our ask is, we met after the county council generously approved the 81,900. We met with the engineering group in Craig, and they wanted to have a geotechnical report done for the area where the sport court itself was going to go. We were quite familiar with the area because we've all built things in the area. Thought it was, understood why you'd like it. It's a very common thing to have done, but it was almost a $5,800 or $5,700 add-on to the cost. We also talked about a French drain on the drainage side of the court, and again, that's what makes these things last longer is if you do them right. And so at the end of the day, the project went up for those reasons. All we're asking for is that we didn't anticipate the geotechnical cost when we were presenting to council. As in any tender or any project, if something's added after, we kind of feel that maybe that's not an unjust ask to have that included in. And then because of the French drain, all the work is done. I did most of it this summer. We wanted to make sure we could get our grant applications in so we could get into the 2025 construction season. So all those things considered, we're just asking for the geotechnical costs to be covered, plus a little bit in relation to the gravel that's been provided to kind of maybe offset a little bit of the cost of the French drain. That was an added cost that we didn't anticipate. The project we're putting down all of our deposits for spring. We've got the fencing left and the coating left. We've done some adjustments and put off some the lighting and the CCAN placement. We'll do some fundraising and some things after to get those in place. But we have enough funds with this add-in to be able to complete next year. We've raised, basically 2/3 of the cost of the project, and we're kind of asking for maybe a 10% bump in the sense of the added cost as compared to the 33% that the county had put in originally. So we hope that that's fair and not asking too much, and be here to answer any questions you might have.
Schneider?
No,
just for the other councillors, this has been a great initiative done by local residents, and I think it should be rewarded absolutely for the hard work that they've done to improve not only their community but our entire community, because this is open to the public for sure, and but it enhances our community every time that community members step up and do this. So I think that's a phenomenal. Just to be clear on this, you're asking for another 5680. Is that what we're looking at?
The total on the spreadsheet, it's 6175. There's $495 that are sort of equivalent in gravel. We've had 3 loads of gravel, a load of topsoil. We've paid for some the wash rock and some of the drainage things and a load of gravel ourselves as well. So the total's 6,175.
Okay, because you had mentioned the 58. That's fair. And Andrew, maybe you could help me out with this. The original funding, when the motion was set forward, came out of the
Buffalo Lake Municipal Fund.
and there's still some money left in there.
We would let Craig speak to the details on that one.
Okay.
Yes, Reeve Clark, there is sufficient funds left, approximately $400,000 mark left in that reserve.
So, Mr. I'll make the motion that we fund this project another. Just quote that number again. I'm having it top of your screen. Thank you. 6175. To the Buffalo Lake Meadows Owners Association for the Buffalo Lake South Shore Reserve Fund, or from the South Shore Reserve Fund for the construction of the picnic shelter and asphalt surface forecourt.
Thank you, Reeve Clark. I just had one question. I think it's to you, Craig. Explain to me how this is funded, like where the funds come from.
Certainly. So attached to this agenda item, I believe this one, there's 2 requests coming for funding. There's a copy of the policy that guides the use of these monies. In short, the fund was created from the sale of other parkland owned by the county in the general area of around Buffalo Lake Meadows. And that sale of land is what gave us the initial bump up and creation of the fund. You have to forgive me, I don't have all the numbers of initial starting committed to memory, but it was close to the $1 million mark. So that's tracked separately, it's audited separately, and has interest that accrues to it separately. And over the years, we've been using that policy that's attached, various projects have been funded. So that's included things such as our improvements at the Buffalo View Estates Marina, grants to Buffalo Lake Meadows for their proposed improvements, grants to Buffalo Sands Community Association for similar projects, in their case a picnic shelter, and grant to Scenic Sands for, again, a picnic shelter and playground improvements, or improvements near the playground, sorry. So that's how we get a drawdown gradually. We've also funded our own exercise, which is the subject of an exercise, RFD coming up on the agenda, to look at 3 public access sites and how they can be improved over the long term for the general use and benefit of all county residents. So that's where we've gradually been, council has been awarding grants for community-driven initiatives and also county work. It is a restricted reserve in terms of, because we sold off a park space that we obtained from the original developer, we can't just take that money and put it in another function or another area. It has to go back into the park's function in some way, shape, or form.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for, Craig.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried.
Great, thank you, guys.
Good job again.
Good presentation, Bruce. We say our delegation is on the line, our 11 o'clock delegation, Municipal Affairs,
Sure.
for the Village of Denelda viability update.
Yeah, so we'll get them up on the screen, and then if you guys want to unmute yourselves and introduce yourselves, and then maybe we can do our round of introductions and go from there.
Perfect. Hi, and thank you, Council, for this opportunity to come and speak to you about the viability review that's going on in Denelda. I'm Charlene Brown. I'm the senior lead person on the file for the viability review. With me today is my colleague Denise, who will be Denise Lyons, and she will be helping out with the in playing the support role. We will also, I'm just waiting for my manager, Jeff Nixon, as he's supposed to do a portion of the slides with me, and hopefully he will be joining us very shortly.
Okay, thank you. We will run through introductions at the table if that's, we'll start with Karen.
I'm Karen McKenzie, Assistant Director of Operations at County Stettler.
Michelle Hoover, Legislative Assistant.
Larry Clark, Reed for the County Stettler.
Colin Gano, Counselor.
Wade Hunter, Ward 2 Counselor.
Janet Adam, Ward 7, Denelda Red Willow.
Bill Walker, Ward 1 Counselor.
Jay Schneider, County Stettler Counselor for Erskine South Warden.
Andrew Brishik, Director of Municipal Services, and I will introduce our media in the room, Landon Chambers, just because he doesn't have a mic, you won't hear him anyways. And then also online with us is Nikki Thorstensen, our Director of Communications.
Thank you.
And we'll just turn it back to you guys to have the floor.
Perfect, thank you. And again, thank you, Council. I now see that my manager, Jeff, has now shown up. So I don't know, Jeff, do you want to do a quick intro?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Jeff Nixon, Manager of Municipal Liability. Thanks for having us today. It's great to be with you virtually.
Thanks, Jeff. So like I said before, we want to thank you for giving us the time to speak to Council. We'd also like to acknowledge that Alberta includes the traditional territories of the signatories of Treaty 6, 7, and 8. We also acknowledge the Métis people of Alberta who have a deep connection with the land. As I said before, I'm Charlene Brown. I'm the Municipal Liability Advisor, and I'll be leading the village's liability review. And I have several years as a municipal councillor, a mayor, and a CAO, now an advisor. Denise and Jeff both have municipal experience as well. So we're part of the municipal liability team, and we support municipalities with restructuring, liability reviews, amalgamations, and changes of status. So one thing that I didn't, actually, I'm going to share my screen. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. And you can see that well enough, Council?
We can't see it yet.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to see if I can get my sharing up here. Bum, 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 bum. Do I have, share screen, there we go. And let me see if I can get that up now. Can you see that now?
There we go.
Beautiful. Okay. So that was our first slide. Sorry about that, Council. So with this presentation, we'll provide you an understanding of the viability process, as well as what to expect over the upcoming months. The objectives for the presentation today is to discuss the roles and responsibilities of the province and the municipalities that are involved, and discuss the Alberta Community Partnership Program and next steps. Presentation should take approximately 20 minutes with some additional time for questions at the end. Is there any questions about that, Council?
Nope.
Beautiful. Jeff, you're up.
Thanks, Charlene. So I'll just tell you a little bit about the viability review process and exactly what a viability review is. So viability review process is a legislative process under Section 130 of the Municipal Government Act. It's a collaborative and community-focused process which brings decision makers together and empowers communities to make decisions about their future. It engages the participating municipalities, so Denelda and yourselves, and asking them to provide information and input into the process. Residents also have a very important role and the opportunity to participate during several public engagement sessions. That includes your residents are able to attend those as well, but in the end, only the voters of the village will vote. The viability review for Denelda, as you know, was initiated by the minister due to several losses of quorum in the last couple of years. There's 3 ways that they can be initiated. The minister can initiate them, there's a petition, and there's also a request from village council could initiate one. It's important to know that a viability review, what a viability review is. It's objective and impartial. It is meant to inform the community, not to decide for the community. The province plays a role in helping, leading the process, but the decision in the end is ultimately left to the local electors. It's unique to and specific to each municipality, so each municipality obviously is unique and different. Each viability review therefore is as well. So there's different information we find, there's different people at the table. The length of time can vary depending on who's at the table, what certain environmental factors, that kind of thing. So each one is very different, but they're usually completed to 12 to 18 months. It's also important to know what a viability review isn't. And viability review isn't an inspection, so we're not looking into past operations or decisions of council or administration. We're really looking forward in this process. It's not a punitive process. We're looking to move forward in an effective, efficient, legislatively responsible manner for the village of Donalda. Big difference. So we're not really looking at past decisions. Next slide there, Charlene, please. At the end of the process, viability review report is produced. It covers 6 different areas. First one is community, then there's governance, administration, finances, infrastructure, and services. These six sections are completed basically with information gathered through our records. It was available to us, public documents, records the ministry has, but also a lot comes from the village and a lot will also come from the county. So we need your help finding getting some information from yourselves as well in your administration. The report, before it's distributed, there's also a viability review support group that's formed. This used to be called the viability review team, if you were familiar with past viability review processes. It's made up of representatives from the 5 associations in Alberta, so Alberta Munis, ARMA, LGAA, and AB Munis, as well as ASVA sometimes sits on there. So there's some colleagues that sit on that group that helps review the information collected, talk about challenges, try to identify recommendations, basically help move the process along. So a member of your council and your CAO will hopefully sit on that, or must sit on that. We'll ask you to, sorry, as well as representatives from those 5 associations. The viability report is a public document. There's a number of them that are published right now on our website. I think we provide a link later if you were curious to see what they look like, what the contents include. But once it's completed, it is mailed and posted online and distributed to all of the residents. Sometimes it's left at the village office to be picked up if others don't have availability to get that online or ability to get that online. After the residents receive the report, they vote on the question of dissolution. We facilitate that vote, and it will result in either the municipality remaining a municipality or voting to dissolve and becoming a hamlet, and in this case, that would be in Stettler County, and that's where you folks come in. Thanks, Charlene. Roles and responsibilities. So I think Charlene mentioned at the beginning, our team is the restructuring team, basically, which help municipalities with viability reviews, but also amalgamations, change of status, and a change in boundaries, wards, and all that, which are often more led by municipalities involved. In viability review cases, because it's a ministry-led process, we lead that process from start to finish, so we play a more active role in actually leading the review. So we lead the viability review process. That means we inform residents and electors of events like public information sessions, the vote, we do all the advertising, all that work. We host the public information sessions. We write the viability review report, which I just mentioned. You have input into that and can review it as well before it's public. We conduct the vote of electors. It won't be Charlene or Denise doing that. It'll be 2 other members of our team, just to keep the 2 processes separate. And then there's the roles of the village and the county. There is an infrastructure audit Charlene will tell you more about. And I think the county from previous conversations has agreed to help out with that, and that's funded by our ACP program. And reason we asked the county to be involved is should the village vote to dissolve, that infrastructure audit becomes yours to use. We want to make sure it's a document that is helpful to you and meets your expectations as well. So we encourage you to get involved in that process. We have a bunch of RFP templates and all that sort of thing. We help the village, but if you can help us with that, that's much appreciated. You provide information to us through your administration, which is helpful. I think that's already started. And you provide input through the VRSG I mentioned, and you help communicate when possible. I mean, the village in this case will do most of it to talk about the votes in the public meetings, but if there's information you can share for us, that will be helpful as well. Back to you, Charlene.
Beautiful. Okay, so as we're talking about the viability review process, one of the pieces that we do is we will create a survey that's going to be open for 1 month for the village residents to provide more opportunities to share their perspectives and opinions. So we're hoping to have this done by early January, and it will be open for about a month. The other thing that we have done is we've requested your administration, Stettler County administration, to assist in filling out a workbook and discussing with us what kind of services that you currently provide the village of Donalba and what that looks like. And so administration has got that. We are going to request that council give it its blessing prior to it being sent back to us, but we will also work with your administration through that process. Mid-January, we're hoping to have the initial public information session for the village of Donalba. As Jeff was saying, it's okay for county residents to be involved in that, but they will not be part of the vote, and they will not get the specific invites because we send them out through the mail. Later in the year, we will schedule a mid-review public information session. So again, we'll at the mid-review session, what we do is we kind of go over the information that we've collected through the survey and through the public information session. We kind of consolidate it, do a little bit of a synopsis, check back with community, did we hear it right, and then continue on with the report. If the mid-review information session is kind of a newer enhancement to the viability review process. It was added to address concerns for the residents, because we were hearing that in that 12 to 18 months time period, that there wasn't enough time or there was too much time, I'll just say, for the residents to remember and reflect and input, so that we've added that mid-review. And then at the end of the session, we will have the pre-vote session. Pre-vote session will be any questions about the report, because the report will already be mailed to everybody, and it will go through the process of what the vote will look like. So out of the report, there is, it'll be a comparative document. So in the comparative document, it basically looks at if Donalda stays as a separate entity and as an individual municipality, and what would it look like if Donalda actually became a hamlet. So it's just very much a comparison. And in there as well, under the 6 different headings that Jeff alluded to, there's also there's going to be what we call recommended actions, which may turn into ministerial directives. The purpose of these recommended actions is to assist Donalda and to move forward in a more sustainable manner. And when they do become directives, they must follow those directives. They have 5 years to be able to complete an action plan and address the recommended actions. And as well, out of the infrastructure audit that's going to be completed, they will have to have a capital plan, a 10-year capital plan, and that first 5 years must be addressed like any other budget cycle. So they have to have action plans to create a more sustainable community. If the community, votes to dissolve, we'll talk about what that looks like, because this is where the Alberta Community Partnership, the ACP funding comes involved. First off, there is the infrastructure audit, which has been increased to $150,000 now for ACP infrastructure audit funding. The templates are going to be sent over for the RFP, and the process for Denalda will help Denalda CAO set that up through Alberta Purchasing Connection. We've also requested that maybe your administration and or Public Works gets involved. As Jeff said, it's important information in the long run for the County of Stettler. If the residents of Denalda vote to dissolve, the county would be able to receive both the infrastructure audit as well as additional funding. So there would be transitional funding to allow the county to facilitate administrative changes, including the legal and legislative costs, integration of administrative systems such as your accounting, your finances, your assessment, and some of community engagement. There is also dollars available for capital infrastructure. So that's under the ACP infrastructure stream. So in total, the transitional funding, the county would receive approximately, based on the population of Denalda, $313,000 for transition, and about 1.2 million for capital infrastructure. Jeff, back to you. Are you there, Jeff?
You're muted, Jeff.
I'm that guy that was talking about, it's handy to meet you virtually, but it's also not that fun to not be able to meet you face to face and see you all, so it's not ideal. So first thing we have to do is to get the infrastructure audit going. Right now it's winter, so it's a little bit hard to do that, but we have to get the village all queued up with the tools they need to get that posted, a vendor selected, and get that underway as soon as we can in the spring to keep this moving. So we're working away with the village, and like Charlene said, we'll be in touch as well with the county administration. We're also busy planning the public information session. That's going to be in January tentatively, just because of Christmas and the election. We couldn't get going right away. Survey will also be posted at that time, and then we'll be working away on the report, which we've already reached out, I think, to Yvette and team for some information to start. So we're well underway, and that's kind of the next steps. The vote will all be most likely in the fall, but we'll see how it goes as we move along. So that's kind of it. We went through that pretty quick, Charlene, but we do have limited time, but we've got, you might have questions, and we've got 15 minutes, I think, which would be great to address any of those that you may have. And maybe, Charlene, can we close the slides so that we can
see people?
See people? Yeah,
it's hard. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Am I still sharing the screen right now?
You're okay.
Good.
Beautiful, okay.
I don't need to see a quarter of me, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. There we go.
Beautiful. I had a couple of questions.
Yes, Councilor Nyberg.
Okay, James Nyberg, Councilor for Erskine South Ward. The directives. So let's say they vote to not dissolve, but the minister comes with some directives. So you said they have 5 years to follow. What happens if they don't take any steps to do that? Is this process start all over again, or is it at that point that the minister would say, okay, we need to get this done? Can he come in and take that over, or with an official administrator, or what happens to make that happen? You said must, and Charlene, I know that word is how it fits into our world. What is the if not must? What happens if they don't do it?
Jeff, you want to take that one?
Sure, I can.
No, I knew I stumped you guys.
No, not quite.
Minister, so it's easier for Jeff to take that.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. So what happens is the recommendations in the report that are developed with the viability support group and throughout the process, the minister, the act says that the minister may issue directives if they vote to remain. In the past, historically, the minister has always issued directives. One of them is to respond in an action plan to all of those recommendations within a certain amount of months after the vote. The next one is to submit a capital plan using the infrastructure audit. That's why that's so important. So it takes the 10-year capital plan that's providing that infrastructure audit, and they have to prioritize projects based on what's in there. That's typically one of the directives. These are all online if you wanted to see them. The third directive is what Charlene's talking about with submitting annually for 5 years. And so every year, our team, we don't just do the viability reviews and be done. We work with the villages that remain to make sure they know what's due and what's that they're actually addressing what's in their plan. And so they have to submit an update on that action plan. They have to submit an update on their capital plan every year. So we're looking and working with them. Why did this project change? Did something else come up, emergent that you had to deal with, and working through that. So then the minister reviews the plan and see if it's satisfactory or not. At that point, typically they usually are done satisfactorily to the minister, but at the end of 5 years, the minister does have enforcement options. It's also, I'm just going to struggle with this section right now because it's in the act, but it's the enforcement tools that are provided. So that could be withholding grant funding. It could be, there's a number of tools that the minister could use. Could be OA. Typically, like I mentioned before, they're all unique. We've had in the past where councils have been in that process and have asked for another vote. So everyone is unique and different, so we'd have to burn that bridge when we get there. But there are tools within the act legislatively that minister could use, yes.
So just to clarify, the directives, the minister would typically not make any moves till the 5 years were up, or if there's...
No, that's historically. The minister, it would be up to the minister. I wouldn't want to speak for the minister when they make a decision on that, but they review it every year, and just looking historically, they've usually been satisfied. They've been addressed where you need to make changes before I will accept this plan, but the other enforcement stuff, the minister historically hasn't done anything yet. Yeah.
Okay, and Mr. Chair,
I wouldn't say that because that's up to the minister to make that decision. Yeah.
Fair enough. I 100% understand. Mr. Chair, I've got one other question. On the transition funding, you mentioned a 1.2 million capital fund and a 313,000 transition funding. So can I ask a question on this one? Is this just a cookie cutter money that comes down, or does it have something to do with the capital infrastructure audit that we're doing? Because we haven't had that done yet. What happens if the capital infrastructure comes back and it's $4 million? I'm just going to throw a number out there, and you're offering the county 1.2. I'll be honest, as a councillor, I'm a little, that's a hit for us. So
I totally get it. Unfortunately, what ends up happening with this is it's kind of cookie cutter because it's based on population. It's got a base amount plus population. So the for the transitional dollars, the funding is based a base amount of 200,000 plus 500 per capita, and that would be within Denalta, right? So their current population is at 226. So that's where we get the 313 from. And the capital infrastructure has a base amount of 750 and then $1,500 per capita. And that's where it gets almost 1.2, so 1.089 kind of.
Okay, so we have no, this capital audit comes in and we have no say when if it's a dissolution and there's $2 or $3 million worth of repairs that need to be done, we have absolutely no say. Nothing we can do to go get more money back?
Yeah, you're right on that.
Okay.
There are some other opportunities maybe that we can, work with other departments. So let's say the lagoon's going sideways, the lagoon project's going sideways or something like that. We might be able to offset and help The county, access the grant advisors in, water
Wastewater.
for Water for Life or something like that, but that's, unfortunately, ours is just cookie cutter. There's no other funding mechanisms at this point in time.
Councillor, if I may, we have heard that number of times. There's even a study by RMA that's been done on the post-dissolution impacts and that. So that there has been somewhat of a response. Those funds have increased. We understand they're not, where they probably could be that would satisfy everyone, but that there has been moderate increases to that funding to try to address some of that. The LGFF and funding comes for the village would receive for 5 years would come to the county as well. Again, not, it depends on what the infrastructure debt is. It might not be something to write home about, but it would also go to the county. So there is some funding that will come, but it is what it is. It's the ACP partnership. The guidelines come out every year, and that's what it is.
I was suspecting that was the answer. We've done this a couple of times, so yes.
Yeah.
But just wanted to be clear. I thought maybe there was something had remarkably changed, but
no.
No magical bullet on that one. Yeah.
Where we can make changes to the process at our level, we sure try to do it, and we are open to that feedback as well. But some of the things we can't.
Appreciate it. Thank you for that.
As Reeve for the County of Stettler, but also as chair for Shirley McClellan Regional Water, the conversation really concerns me to this point, because we'd worked with, as a supplier of water to the village, in order for them to get a reservoir update, which one or two councils decided that they wouldn't go forward with it. The partners of Shirley McClellan came together. We talked through all the ministries to get that grant transferred over to Shirley McClellan. And right now, we still need to build the reservoir up there, but I believe we have to build it on county property. So when you have that lack of forefront looking what the future holds out for us. When we look at water, the water lines, the sewer systems, everything else, I have grave concerns, because a lot of their services are done out of their back alleys. So if you have to fix one, you have to fix everything.
Yeah.
So if you have to fix the deepest, you have to fix every piece of their infrastructure. So in order to get adequate fire flow, we will have the water there. The reservoir we will be able to supply the water, but with the working that we went through up to this point, if we can't see adequate transition funds to take the capital projects forward, is the option no? I asked the minister this on Thursday night, and he kind of sat back in his chair, because I said, we've been through two of these since I've been on council for the last 8 years, and smaller ones, and we've dealt with operating some services for another village to the south of us that had a $4-point-some million could be repaired to their sewer lagoons. We're not talking small potatoes that the rest of the ratepayers of the county of Stettler should be picking up. And it's, we need to have insurance, because if we're going to take it on, we're going to do it right. But even at the point when you set your taxes and everything else up, when it matches our mill rates, then the tax rate to the villages drops when they become a hamlet. So it's harder and harder for a cost recovery unless you put a levy on, and that changes the whole scope of everything. So it's just, it's not, smiling faces and handshakes, because this is not the best, could not maybe possibly be the best interest of the county of Stettler residents.
And totally get that and totally hear that. And it might be worth exploring, does the county, who's the primary point of contact for Shirley McClellan?
We're the managing municipality for Shirley McClellan. So I myself as the chair, and then our CAO, Abat, and Andrew are both on that from an administrative function.
And do they just do water, or do they do sewer and water? Just asking.
Just strictly water. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Try to keep those two separate.
We do.
It's a good idea.
It is, yeah, right, Jeff.
And we are the largest water commission in, is it North America or is it in Alberta?
That's what they tell us.
Tell us we're the largest one in North America. I don't know, but just by miles, not by people.
Yeah, gotcha.
No, we hear you, Reeve.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to work with both the village and the county as you go through this process. I am aware of the site that was going to be, that was picked out, and, you know, from what I understand from the village is that there was a move ahead on the project. So, yeah.
Yes, there is from Shirley McCullough, but it would be on County of Stettler property. So that's kind of a drawback to me when there was the perfect site to put it on village property. But we got that pushback on us too from the village. So please, as you're having your conversations, if we're going to work collaborative, it certainly helps if both partners are collaborative.
Absolutely, totally agree.
And to that end, we do have a pretty good working relationship with the village. Just this one point that we've had that has been a bone of contention. For the most part, we get along. If they had a consistent council, it would help too, but the new one seemed to be working well with us.
And I guess just back to my Councillor Nyberg is we did go back through 2 or 3 years ago, a level of service to our residents, but also to our villages. Because as we went through it, services, we were somewhat subsidizing residents and subsidizing residents of villages. So a lot of the services we would have provided 2 to 3 years ago, we don't provide now. Unless they want to set up a contract in order to have a contract in place for us to do so.
Right.
Yeah.
So if they have a contract in place, and that's the kind of information that I'll be working with your administration on, trying to figure out which ones are, you know, is Donaldo currently on? What are they not on? I know that there's a shared fire department. I know that the equipment is, like, it's not shared. It's on, I think it's on county land within the confines of Donalda. And, you know, the equipment and the fire department is yours, but there's the volunteers come from Donalda, I think, or something like that.
It's a regional system which uses your community for volunteers, but we are the capital funder from the County of Stettler. Yeah. It's going to be hard regional. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have a couple graders in there too, and things like that. So, yeah, those are the types of things that we'll be working through and on and seeing, you know, where is there opportunities and where's the rubber really need to hit the road on this and what's happening there. Because there's been significant governance and administration issues, so I'll just be honest, and I think you're aware of that.
Right. And I think that what we'd ask of you is the report, we can only put the information we have in it, and we wouldn't, some of the things we put in the report, or some things we can't put in the report, we would never tie the hands of future councils for the village, and we can't make decisions for your council as well. So we try to put the most relevant and current information in there. So it will ask, hey, what do you know on your mind as of today? What would things maybe look like for residents if they did dissolve? And sometimes those are hard questions to answer because we can't make those decisions, but we try to put the most accurate information in there. So be forthcoming and candid with that information as you can that you'd want in the report. We work with the vet to make sure that that's accurate as it can be. The other thing we won't do is make it's up to us to inform the residents, not decide for them. So what I meant earlier was there is no, the village is viable or not. The ministry won't make a position on that. It'll present it as here's what things look this way if things happen, and if you dissolve, this is what it's going to look like. So it's trying to paint that clearest picture possible within what I mentioned is we can't make decisions for future councils either. So that's a little bit challenging, and that's just part of the process. And like the funding thing is things we can't don't have complete control over. So,
is there a back looked at some of these viability studies after though? Because there's a community to the east of me that's in a different municipality that went through the study 2 or 3 times, and now are part of the municipality, where those funds that were spent on viability studies could have went towards transition and maybe part of the infrastructure debt. So I think as all of Albertans, we got to start looking at this a little different go forward too, as how votes are cast. I know it's democracy, but when you hear how the first votes happened in that community, it questions you even on voter eligibility. So.
Yeah, well, you folks, sounds like had more FaceTime with the minister than I have in a while, but I know he's committed to review that with municipalities and look at the process. One of the things I do know is the process in place with the vote is very unique to provinces. So it does let the electors vote. The alternative is to make the decision for the community. So it's something that has to be looked at carefully, and the minister has committed to the associations to that the process, it's a priority. It's in the mandate letter and everything from the premier to look at it. So we're trying to do our best as we can to solve some of these problems.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you for your presentation then, unless you got more questions for us.
Thank you for if I can, just to close out, thank you for the opportunity, for letting us speak to you. Like Jeff indicated, we wish we could be there in person, but this is our next best option. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to working with Stettler County and their administration as we go through this process.
Thank you. On that, we'll close.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
All the best.
Thank you. Yep. Okay. Back to, do we accept that for information, or?
I'll give you a motion to receive that for information.
Is there questions or comments? Call the question, all in favor? That's great. Okay, we tried to skip around for Mr. Stevens, but we.
Apologies, I was pulling double duty with you.
Yeah, no, Andrew defended you fully. We were
Throwing you under the bus.
Okay, we are to new business 7.2, request for decision, Buffalo Lake Public Access Enhancement Project, page 11 of the package.
I would defer this to Craig, please.
Thank you, Reed Clark, members of council. So this, very similar to the, well, I said last item, but that was very different. The other Buffalo Lake Meadows item we had earlier, this also involves the Buffalo Lake area and the same reserve fund. It's per our own study that we're currently working on preparing a series of concepts for 3 public access sites, working with our planning agency, Parkland Community Planning Services. We have gotten to the point of having held 2 open houses prior to, the last one was very early October with some draft concepts out for public review. And due to some mailing issues, we left those available on our website until mid-November for further comments coming in. So we're at the point where the consulting team and administration as a steering committee will get a chance in the near future to look at the recommended concepts and the public feedback that we're getting. And what we'd like to do is add to that before we bring it to council more detailed cost estimates on some of these improvements. So if we're proposing a parking lot area in one location, what does that look like in terms of financial terms in relationship to some of our other options that may be available? So we're asking for an additional $10,000 to be added to the project budget to enable PCPS to go on and do those detailed cost estimates, and then that'll be combined into the final report recommendations that are coming to council. I anticipate that choice of those concepts and the options will occur within the first quarter. I don't have an exact date nailed down. If I had to guess, probably it may likely be the one of the 2 March council meetings, Reed Clark. So that is the basis of the request. The funding source, again, is the Buffalo Lake South Shore Reserve Fund, and the request is for an additional $10,000 added to that budget.
Thank you, Craig. You have your hand up now.
I certainly can. I was initially reluctant to investing the money in this study, but now that we've went down this path, I think it is a wise choice to see it through to the end and have more information when the recommendations get brought back. So I will move staff recommendation number 1.
Any questions or concerns on that? Call the question, all in favor? That's Janet. Were you in favor? Okay, that carried that. Okay, so we move to 7.6, request for decision, water hookup request, page 39 of the package.
Mr. Chairman, Greg will give Sharon a tap on the shoulder. She was here with us earlier, but of course we did have to delay it. But in the interim, while that happens, I can introduce it anyways. When we have requests for water, the previous council gave us direction to bring each request to council, regardless of the circumstances. There are some that are rubber stamps, they're easy, the revenue for the hookup will cover the cost, and those pretty well always get approved. There are some that are, miles off the line that aren't likely to be approved, but we bring both of those cases back just so council can see them all. This is between those two types of recommendations. I can't say this is an easy answer. So this is one, it's just south of a line we recently extended. And of course the map didn't attach. My apologies. I will bring that up. But when that one was done, it was about 150 meters off the existing line. And council at the time said it was a request for one connection. But they said, hey, there's, you've subdivided off there. You're still in control of both parcels. Well, if you put in two connections, it's worth it to us. And so they did do that, and that portion of the line was built. The rest of the extension to get to where the water line would need to be for this request is quite a bit further. It's just over a kilometer. And so it does have a bigger cost. We have in our fee bylaw that if you are adjacent to the water line, you are entitled to hook up, but it's got to be immediately adjacent to you. And the cost for doing so is $20,000, and that covers the installation and supply of a concrete meter vault and the backflow preventer and the meter and everything in there, as well as when necessary, stubbing across or drilling underneath the road to cross the road allowance. This is one where the estimated quote is about $89,000, and so only just shy of half of it would be covered by the actual connection fees. If council were to fund this, they would need to do so out of reserves or designate some other funding source. I believe Councillor Stevens had some thoughts that maybe he could.
So initially, they made a request for a single hookup. We declined that request, the former council, and after multiple conversations with myself and staff, they came back and said they were willing to do two. And they were looking at subdividing and building for this. So I fear what we're looking at in this situation is without water, there will be no build. The family won't move here. There will not be another house on the tax roll. So it's not as cut and dry as are we getting cash recovery right now on the install. We may be stagnating the area. They've tried drilling a well. They've already invested that money and it was dry. So this is kind of their only other option. So normally I want to get as close to cost recovery as possible, but there is a few other factors that play in this particular conversation. I will add that there are some costs in here that I don't think the applicant should necessarily be responsible for. I get that it's the end of the line, so we have to relocate a flushing hydrant. Well, I don't think that's necessarily the fault or the cost of the person applying. That is our maintenance to manage in a lot of ways. And I will say through the subdivision process, they did pay a sizable chunk into our rural development fund as well. So there is a second revenue source that we're getting outside of just the connection. Mr. Nyberg?
Mr. Stevens, Councillor Stevens, we've had multiple conversations on water in the past for sure. This one always pains me, and Reeve Clark and Reeve Stevens know, or councillors.
Easy now.
Councillor Stevens, know my position on this one. However, that being said, there is a second option for these folks to go with a cistern, and they would have to haul water. There is that option. However, in this particular case, given the fact that it is a high traffic area already, and we have had multiple concerns about the amount of traffic on that road, and that I'm not sure if that is a viable option for this particular stretch of road. And that would be my only caveat, that I've said in the past, there is other options. This one really does make it a less attractive option to do that hauling. And I do also believe that there is opportunity across the road and at a number of other locations along that road that we will see other hookups. So that being said, I'm reluctantly in favor with this one for the number of mitigating factors that go into it. The road, the fact that there will be possible expansion of other hookups. And I do believe that we will be seeing this come forward with more hookups to the south of this particular line. In a perfect world, we build it and they would then hook up, but as it goes, we build as we can. That said, I would like to hear from Councillor Stevens where he would propose the funding to come from.
Councillor Stevens and then Councillor Piano had a question.
Go ahead. So once again, I'm torn. I'm leaning towards moving this, but I would like to point out one other factor, and that is this is directly adjacent to our growth node that we've identified. And it is somewhat slow and steady growth. We get certain spikes with the odd application, but it is the biggest source of residential and water usage growth that we've had in our entire county. So I do think that it would serve future growth well by having this line in there. So it's not just who's there now. We have to assume that there is going to be more people there in the future as well. And I would suggest that the Rural Development Fund makes the most sense budget-wise.
Sergano?
I had a question for administration. I know last year you had started to discuss, I'm going to use a term, cost sharing. I'm not sure, can't recall what you called. Where are we at with that initiative?
We still have not yet finished drafting a policy for an endeavor to assist is, I think, the cost you're looking at. So right now, our policy framework basically only exists that we charge them $20,000 if they're right on the line, and anything outside of that, council has to make direction on directly. So we haven't yet ever directly done a cost sharing agreement with somebody where they said, hey, I'll come in, it's going to cost $100,000 to do it. Just let me pay the whole shot and do it. But if somebody else connects later, I want some money back. That's what the endeavor to assist would create. But with the projects we've been working on, we have not gotten to that yet.
CAO Casti?
Just a couple points I was curious about. So has the subdivision gone through, Craig, on this property?
Yes. It was the MPC right before the election.
Approved but not registered.
Okay, so, because my only concern was the Buffalo Lake IDP. Multiple subdivisions in the Buffalo Lake IDP don't always go so well, because I've been on two of them that got shot down.
So that particular quarter on the east side of the road is the limited growth node. And I think at one point this applicant was thinking about one more subdivision that was not compliant with the IDP. And that's why they went with one acreage and then the remaining quarter. On the west side of the road is the growth node where more growth would be allowed.
I got to throw my 2 bits in here too, because when we put our construction specifications in when somebody's looking to try and get water to their property, when we have to move a flush hydrant, which is part of the operation, and we're putting a 3-inch line in, when this really with buying the 2 tie-ins, connections, this individual really, as we've talked, this is a gallon a minute per connection. Certainly doesn't need a 3-inch line to get that kind of water there. And you know, until we ever reach system build out, we've been people have been utilizing more than that, but that's the fact that we got to come back to. It is a gallon a minute. So then they are responsible for a cistern or whatever. So I don't like this leapfrog piece that we're doing. If we could have properly put in transmission lines, this would be as good of a conversation, and you could have scoped that out for futures by putting your transmission line in further. So I think we're expanding our system, and we're expanding it to what our specs are. And I'm certainly in agreement with this move forward, especially when the people put their 2, came forward after being turned down the first time and said, no, we'll put 2 in, one for livestock and one for the house. CEO Cassidy?
So just, if both these properties were developed, we're seeing pretty significant tax dollars from development up at the lake. So that would help. The other comment I have, that in the past, we have funded the excess from the federal gas tax or community building fund, but we have been basically saving up those funds for phase 2 of Gadsby. So there are a couple of alternatives.
Councilor Nyberg?
So, Reeve Clark, you know a little better than myself, but if you were just to hook up a regular line to these folks, what line size would we use for them?
For that distance, probably 1.5 inches. 1 inch would probably suffice, but 1.5 inches would be.
So there is some benefit to us, and there's also the fact that there's an extra cost because we're using a bigger line. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I was.
And moving that flush, because
that flush hydrant, I do think that falls squarely on our responsibility because it's just operations.
Your cost is entirely on the materials. The actual installation would be identical.
But I mean, there is some added cost to that. And it does improve our system. So I do, you're making me feel better about it.
It gives us the opportunity to tee off and continue.
Yeah, no, I think I'm.
Councilor Stevens?
I will move staff recommendation number 1. And it says to come from reserves. I would specify the rural development fund reserve.
So if I could.
Councilor Nyberg, yes.
Administration also mentioned the federal gas tax. Which is better for administration?
Either one.
It's not a showstopper for me. And it's just how it's functioned in my head, understanding it seemed like that one was a opportunity to save up for larger projects, not small.
Yeah, we are getting close to that $1 million mark in that fund now. And with the 26 allocation, we could be at almost at the estimated cost of putting that line in very tightly.
Anybody watching this is going to think you're very quiet, though, because your mic's not on.
Oh, really?
It picked you up at the end. It picked you up. Councilor Nyberg?
So just a note, the Rural Development Fund has no tie to it, but the federal gas tax, we basically have to use it for funding like this. We don't have an issue typically because we can use it for gravel and we can use it for just about anything, right?
Right.
Okay. It might be better to come out of that fund. It's a small amount and I think it may go forward.
Well, I will accept that as a friendly amendment.
Councilor Hunter?
I'm just not clear where this is exactly. I know it was on the map, Andrew, yeah.
So this is right up at the lake. This would be Roshan Sands Heights and the new Bar W campground. So this is just coming right off of Bayview Street is the blue. This would be Range Road 20-4, I believe. And so the blue line is what's owned by the Shirley-McClellan Regional Services Commission. Orange lines are County of Stettler lines, and then the green line is the proposed construction.
So there's the white sands.
The two green ones there are the ones.
The interested properties, although those aren't necessarily particularly accurate. I believe this one is actually the yard up here, and we would probably be cutting the line off right about here to get to that 1,200 meters of.
What's the other green line? That's not going to be.
The other green dot? That's just one more person that wants water. So as we've collected surveys over the years and expressions of interest, and basically anytime somebody says, I want water, a lot of the time they're really far from the line. But we've maintained a database of who's interested so that when those people start to group together, it starts to make more sense. And so we've got a few projects lined up that I alluded to earlier. Gatsby Phase 2 and 3 are a couple of them. We've got the Wolf Hill project down in the Bymore Indian area. There's a couple of multi-lot subdivisions like Trustful Estates. These are all ones where we've tried to map out the CCPF for future funding. This is one, as I've alluded to, that's kind of interesting because it is within the South Shore growth node, and the west side is our growth node, which is why I believe operations has recommended the 3-inch line, because it's likely that if not today, the whole section to the west will likely one day build out as developed property.
Well, is there, say that Northwest 16, is that good enough for a lot of subdivision or a lot of acreage put in there, or?
Northwest 16, so I should have put it on this map and I apologize. The east of the range road, within the Buffalo Lake IDP, there are growth nodes and then limited development areas. The east side of the road is within the limited development area. So it's a buffer around the lake that they said, okay, we're going to pick and choose where the development and the density occurs. And so east of that, they've said that's part of the region that no, we don't don't want to overpopulate. Still part of the IDP, but it's an area we're specifically saying, 1 acreage out of every quarter section is kind of the limit.
They don't want us to leapfrog the idea that you would go to that one and start building a whole bunch of residential.
So Northeast 17 can be.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I'm getting at here, the long way around, but like the tax revenue, like that said, we could end up getting quite a bit out of that Northeast 17.
If it develops out and in the growth node, we'd have to have communal water and sewer, or it wouldn't fly. So the closer we get to it with a water line, the more conducive we are to develop.
And Southeast 20, there's nothing going to be planned there, or?
All of section 20 as well as section 17 would be in the growth zone.
But that line already runs by 20, so on two sides. Councillor Stevens?
Now that the map is up again, is there a reason why we're going so far south into that corner? In the past, we've scaled it back.
Our regular mapping guy is on medical leave, and you were left with me, and I drew the line too far. I believe the line would only go to this point right here. It's a little tough to see on the map because this is the part of the quarter section that water's desired at in the Northeast 17.
Okay, fair enough.
I do have one question on that though, is if the northeast to 17 where we have our dot and the northwest to 16 where we have our dot, would we be further ahead when we talk about a transmission line and moving a hydrant and everything? Would we be further off to run it all the way to the boundary?
I think the dot in the northwest of 16 is kind of misplaced.
Yeah, I believe this dot actually came in quite a long time ago when they were looking at initial options.
Okay.
And I think that's when they were probably planning on multiple subdivisions before they realized that they were in that limited development area. It is the north section in that subdivision you guys just approved.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure by the dot too. It could have been the southwest of 16 too. So
that's just a me issue.
Okay.
As I understand it, At one point, there was discussions by the landowner in that southwest corner of the corridor. There's a fragmented parcel that outside of pasture, it's not really usable by ag. So I think they were envisioning that that would make another suitable acreage if they were allowed multiple.
And if I can, Mr. Chair, it is allowable under the plan, but you have to get 5 municipalities to sign off on it, which has been difficult in the past, if not impossible. So there is a possibility, but it would take a lot of thing dangling by some folks to make that happen.
Any other questions, concerns? Call the question, all in favor? Councilor Nyberg, you, push that arm up. Okay, that's carried. I was to the gas, was amended to the
Federal gas tax.
gas tax. Okay. I see a bunch of our lunch people for the photo contest are here, our guests, so we can, that seems to be a good spot to break.
I'll give you a motion to recess for lunch.
Need a motion? We don't need a motion, but thank you. You'll tell us if we can recess. Okay. Okay, welcome everybody. We'll reconvene our meeting. And our 1 o'clock delegation with full council chambers is for the yearly photo contest for the calendar. So today we're celebrating whose pictures will be on the calendar. So take it from there.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Michelle, and I'm your legislative assistant, and I'm also very honored to be in charge of the annual County of Stettler photo calendar. This year we had 68 entrants and a total of 145 photos entered into our contest. So it was a lot of tough judging. I would like to first thank our volunteers with the Heartland Regional Fire Stations 1 through 4 for being our judges this year. So thank you to the firefighters. They picked out a batch of very good photos. As the county is celebrating 75 years this year, we really wanted to focus on activities, scenes, and maybe even some animals that we would see as we are in the county of Stettler. So I am proud to announce that the grand prize winner of the 2025 photo contest, and his photo will be featured in the month of June, is Mr. Eric Smith and his photo of the Big Valley Train Robbery. Somewhere on camera.
Congratulations. You apparently have moved the wrong way. Thank you.
Wonderful. We're going to continue on to celebrate our winners. We'll just come stand up by Larry after. So I would like to thank everyone who has entered today, and we will go from front to back cover. And so next I would like to celebrate the front cover of our calendar this year. This is Paige Jones with Memphis Jones checking his cattle. Come on up. No. And then we're kind of going month by month, and our month of January is April Jones's Feeding Her Lambs. Our next winner actually is both the month of February and the month of April. Can I have Corinna Durr come up? Karina? Oh My Heart. And the month of April being is Life is Good.
I feel like Councillor Nyberg's been bribing judges to get this many sheep photos in there again. Let's go. The previous one wasn't.
That is a member of our ASB committee. We will go through different types of livestock with him. And for the month of March, we have Mr. George Hard and the photo Beaver Pumpernickel.
Yeah.
Mr. Hard told us at lunch that it was very special to have a Prairie brand UFA gate. Okay, we gotta get one more photo. And then the next one is our month of May, which is Mr. Glenn Munden's White Sands lawn exposure. So our month of July was unable to attend today, but she also was our honorable mention, Amber Bolizia. In the month of August, he wasn't able to attend, but he sent his wife and daughter. So It's Too Hot by Grant Hunter. She's very excited. Come on up, hon.
We can go meet you.
Come on up, hon. Can you look at the camera, hon?
Thank you.
And then Mr. Clark was also unable to attend today, but September is Chris Clark's swathing photo. You're confused there for a second, weren't you? And then I am sad to announce that our October was also unable to attend, and as she's left the province of Alberta. But Rachel Boratan, harvesting under the Northern Lights. And then I also have November's was unable to attend, but I hear her mother-in-law is in the audience. So it is Gloria O'Malley's converting the pond at the back to a skating rink. Sorry. And then I have another winner who is unable to attend as she is in Australia right now. Annabella O'Day, Up to Trouble. And then I got a couple honorable mentions. The first one was obviously one of Amber's, but our second honorable mention is former councillor Les Stolberg and It's Moving Day. Come on up, Mr. Stolberg.
Like you've been here before.
Yeah. We would like to congratulate all our entrants and photo contest winners. Thank you for helping us put together a great look at the County of Stettler. We also were happy to announce calendars are now available to pick up. Our winners are welcome to come take a bunch home with them and send them out to friends and family. If I could request that we get all the photo contest winners and their plus ones up for a picture, that would be great.
You want all of us out of the way?
Actually, I think we should keep Val's here.
Yeah.
Because she's pretty emphatic when she tells you no. You don't want to argue. So she has a place here.
Just a little bit this way.
More energy. Probably reads better than me.
Come on, Grandma.
Oh, okay. Something like maybe it's just the pictures there. You get, how many stickers? 3 or 4 stickers. Oh, okay. 3 or whatever. Good idea. Thank you all for the wonderful pictures and that make that calendar. So, and for everybody else that took them and submitted them too.
Yeah, I guess so. Thank you. Have a great day. Nice to see you. Have fun, mate.
I assume.
Okay. Okay, we'll catch you there.
Betcha.
Really nice meeting you. And I'll have, yeah, I'll send you the recipe.
Yes. So if you have any neat ones, you can send them. Yes, we'll have a little recipe. Yes.
Downstairs.
So do
I don't eat any, because it's too late to walk down there to get it. Oh.
I look for it up the red.
It's in my house, but Justin's down there, so.
Well, you just gotta hide it better.
Put a lock on the deep freeze.
Maybe you can step it out till I
That's where it's sitting, anyway.
And how much more efficient this council is when I'm not here.
You get a lot done.
Huh?
See who the troublemaker is. Here, I thought it was James.
We take turns.
You want to say that again?
We wouldn't miss Wade.
Perfect.
It's like, I like it.
Okay, we're on to item 10 for the bylaws. 10.1 bylaw 1754-25 operating boring bylaw. Page 41 of the package.
So all 3 bylaws before you are annual bylaws that we expire automatically each year. The first one is our operating borrowing bylaw. So every borrowing that a municipality makes must be authorized by bylaw, including our visas. So this one covers our visas as well as any indebtedness that we might need to pull from for temporary credit. We've got quite a healthy cash flow, but if we didn't have as many reserves as we did, there's some municipalities that between the start of the year and collecting their taxes that they might need to incur indebtedness. So we do have a fair bit of breathing room in there for this, but generally this is just an authorization for the day-to-day type stuff.
Mr. Nyberg?
Mr. Chairman, I'll give you first reading for bylaw 1754-25.
Okay. Call the question. All in favor? Councillor Stevens?
I'll move second reading.
Call the question. All in favor?
Third reading.
2/3.
No, 2/3.
So, Mr. Chair, if I can.
Yes, actually, we'll have to explain. Yeah, I should have explained that.
So if you're going to pass a bylaw, typically you have to give some time to think about it. These are bylaws that we pass every year. The only way we can go to third reading in one day is if everybody is unanimously in favor of going to it, and then we will go to third reading.
And if I,
Oh,
Yes, go ahead, Andrew.
The motion for this, because it does get a little confusing, motion for this should be to move to consider third reading in the same meeting as first reading.
You could say the move to consider third reading.
Move to consider third reading.
Yes. I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. We just need a motion for third reading.
Third reading?
Councillor Adams, call the question. All in favor? That is carried.
And then next, the two next bylaws are very much the same, so 1755 and 1756. These are special tax levies for the subdivisions of Buffalo View Estates, which is a portion of Roshan Sands Heights, and Buffalo Sands. Both of those lake subdivisions have communal wastewater systems. We cannot charge any user fees to somebody who is not connected to the system. But what this bylaw does is it raises tax revenue in the absence of user fees for lots that aren't developed to offset the maintenance costs of what is available to those residents to connect to in the communal water wastewater systems. So it's calculated what administration has always proposed and what has consistently been what council has passed is that we charge the same amount as a person who's connected pays for the flat rate before consumption. So for water, it's $20 a month, and for wastewater, it's $22 a month. And so this works out to be $42 a month or $500 a year per lot, which is not connected to the water and wastewater system. You're already connected and you're paying those fees through your utility rate. This bylaw does not apply to those lots.
Councillor Stevens,
I'll move first reading.
call the question. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Gano,
I'll move second reading.
call the question. All in favor?
I'll move us to go to consider third reading.
Call the question. All in favor? Councillor Hunter, you'll take us to third?
I'll move that we do the third reading.
Call the question. All in favor?
How come we didn't read the bylaw though, really? I mean, you could have spent all afternoon reading to us.
The MGA does specifically say that only the title of a bylaw need be read into the record.
Mr. Nyberg, it's still not picking you up on the mic system.
Which is not that.
It's a good thing.
Michelle, it's planned. Trust me, it's planned on these guys' point.
N.3, bylaw 1756-25, Buffalo Sands Special Tax Levy.
And this bylaw would be exactly the same, just a different subdivision. So this would just be consideration of bylaw 1756-25 for the Buffalo Sands Special Tax Levy.
Councillor Stevens,
I'll move first reading.
call the question. All in favor?
I'll give you second reading.
Call the question. All in favor?
Consider a third reading?
Councillor Adams, call the question. All in favor? And we need third reading. Councillor Gano takes us to third. Call the question. All in favor? And that is carried.
How efficient we are.
They don't all go like this, and lots of times we can only take them public hearing, so. Consent agenda items, 11.1, Stettler RCMP 2025 Q2 crime statistics. We receive these quarterly. Councillor Nyberg.
So, Mr. Chair, I will take this for receipt for information. The one thing that I would like to state, when the RCMP come and talk to us, they do really watch the crime stats because it can start showing trends. So if you are out talking to your neighbors, your friends, even the smallest thing of a missing stolen chainsaw or something, it's important that we let them know because they definitely track those trends and they can start to see something happening before something major happens. So that's the only thing that I would state on that.
Even to the point of suggesting to the individual it happened to, if you happen to be the one talking to them, to file a report. That way it's formalized and followed. So So we had a motion to accept for information, call the question, all in favor? That's carried. Then County of Stettler number 6, seeking members at large for Agriculture Service Board, just the documentation on that. So that will be, that'll be at our December meeting, will be
That's what we're in.
December 10th meeting. Deciding on that.
I'll give you a motion to receive that for information too.
Thanks, Councilor Nyberg. Call the question, all in favor? Carried. And then we are number 12, in camera, land purchase offer. Section 30, disclosure harmful to economic and other interests of public body. Somebody moves into camera?
Well, should we go through the additions?
Oh,
We already did those.
the additions already.
We did them all? Okay.
Put your hand up. We had to find something to do while we were waiting for you to get back.
But you threw yourself.
Camera. I will give you a
Camera?
motion.
We have one already. It's, call the question, all in favor?
Place, would you?
What's that?
I will make a motion that we instruct administration to offer into agreement to purchase a 4 acres, as per discussed. We want to put a value on it? No. You're gonna.
That's why we take it in camera.
No negotiation, enter into negotiation for the purchase of
With that?
4 acres. For a stockpile site, south bottom.
Okay, we'll call the question on that. All in favor? That'll be carried. Our next meeting is Wednesday, December 10th. It'll be our last meeting for the year on council. So need a motion for adjournment. Councilor Gano adjourns. All in favor? That's carried.